Hello and welcome back to F1000 for the Hungarian Grand Prix 2022. I'm Chaps, and I'm here as always with Mike. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing okay, Chaps. I'm super confused after qualifying today, so let's see what we can put together here.
I mean, we are not experts. We are going to try and figure out how to be experts this weekend, but man, we have a task ahead of us. The qualifying session. I mean, I've never seen a grid like this.
We're going to lose all our money. Like that's what's going to happen. We're going to lose all our money.
No, because the key here at F1000 is we find those value bets that have a very likely chance of happening that we can hedge.
I
where
agree.
We're trying not to pick the winners.
I agree.
Okay, so before we get into our actual bets, Mike, let's chat quickly about the track. You and I, we've talked a little bit before the show, but we saved a lot of it for the fans. We both know. Well, I mean, we're here for the fans, Mike.
We are here for the fans.
We're here to make the people money. I mean, that's all this is.
Well, okay, no. First of all, we have to make money, or else I'm gonna have to go from like no frill shopping to the food bank. We're here. We got to make the money first.
Start signing up for those stamps.
Yeah, I should actually. I'm gonna open an account.
So Hungarian Grand Prix, the Hungaroring. Did I get that right? Hungaroring. Here we are at the Hungaroring. We both know. Yeah. Mike, we both know this is not a fast track. This is not high speeds. This is not a long straight like Azerbaijan, Baku. This is a very low speed, low speed corner track. I don't think it's going to come down to the power units.
No,
I think this is way more not only who has the downforce, but who can nail the setup with the downforce.
I totally agree. I think so. It's definitely less engine power. It's not a power track like some of the more recent tracks that they've been on. Right? You look at even Austria, like the Red Bull Ring, even some of Paul Ricard too is some faster components for sure. So yeah, different setups for sure. I think you're going to see some different cars in the mix, and because we've got such a mixed up grid based on qualifying, there could be some really hidden value out there. I think for sure.
Another thing with the low speeds, it's harder to cool the brakes. It's harder to get all the cool air into the engine, into the brakes. So those teams that we've seen struggle now, I'm not coming into this thinking that this is a tough week for Ferrari. I think we've seen them have their tough weeks and they've got new enough parts that they could survive.
I would imagine so, yeah.
But which teams have we seen struggle, specifically at cooling brakes? I remember McLaren, now they're a couple of weeks removed, but McLaren has struggled historically with getting cooling into their car. Now, Mike, did you say that they brought an upgrade this week?
I saw it, yeah. So they did. I think they brought a cooling element with them this week, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go back and look. It was a floor cooling element. So they're clearly the thermal temps are something that they're going to focus on for sure. The cooling is obviously an enormous component of the race this week. So they're hoping to address it. I mean, they're in good position at this point based on qualifying. So let's see if they can hold those positions moving into tomorrow.
Now, I think we saw in the early practice sessions on Friday, we saw some of this cooling become a factor for some of the teams. There were some cars that struggled with reliability and struggled with cooling. I remember both Mercedes were struggling with cooling their brakes. What we saw today in the qualifying was the air did cool down. We had a bunch of rain. It was not wet in the qualifying. It's supposed to rain later today. I think the track cools even more tomorrow. Temp and surface and air temp will be cooler tomorrow, so maybe this doesn't have as big of an effect on the race, but certainly something to keep in mind, and I've definitely factored in when I'm trying to predict the exact finishing order of the
exact order of how they're going to finish. Yeah, definitely. I know. I was one of the notes that I saw when I was reading through some of the history about the previous races at the track. It looks like only 16 of the last 36 races have been won by P1 on the grid, which is interesting. I mean, I know that there's a lot of talk, and we've seen it in the practice sessions, even in the qualifying. They had talked about it. A lot of articles written about how difficult it is to make passes at this track because it's so narrow. But clearly, you can come from behind. You can come from 2, 3, or maybe even further back to win this race. We saw that. Well, I mean, we saw it last year with Ocon, obviously, but that was because Bottas just blew everybody up. But that's a bit different. But still, there certainly seems to be an opportunity for the faster cars to get ahead at the very least.
You're very right, and I'm flipping.
Very right. Here we go.
I'm flipping frantically through.
I like to hear that
because I wrote this down, and you are spot on with this track. Here
we were talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
The last 4 races here, third place has finished higher than second place, and I think
third place has finished higher than second place. Okay, what does that tell you?
This tells me, and I think it's time we jump right into setting our grids, because this is a huge factor on who I have P1. And why don't I start, Mike? We'll start off. I'll give you my podium. I'll give you my podium places. I'll let you give me your podium places, and we'll kind of work through the field and the midfield and the backfield.
Okay.
With that, I've got Leclerc winning this race on my prediction. And like I was just saying, the past 4 years, third place has finished higher than second. A big part of that is the inside of the track. So all of those even numbers on your grid, 2, 4, 6, 8, all the way through, they are on the dirty side of the track. There's less rubber laid down. It is not the racing line. With all the rain that we've had this weekend, it's going to be a very dirty start for the people on the inside of the track. I think it's very likely that right off the start of the race, Leclerc gobbles up Sainz, gets a better start with more grip, and he's the leading Ferrari into turn 1. To finish off very quickly, so I've got Leclerc finishing P1. I think Sainz holds on to P2. They are just a faster car than the Mercedes, but I have Russell holding on for a podium, coming off his first pole in Formula 1.
The Great Wall, baby, yep.
The Great Wall. He will defend, but I don't think he defends the whole race. The car's not fast enough. I've got Leclerc, Sainz, Russell. Who do you have in the top 3?
I have the exact same thing. So I think we're seeing it the same way. I know that Carlos has been fast in qualifying. He's been able to out-qualify Charles on occasion, but I don't think he's a superior racer when you start extrapolating over the course of the full race. I think we've seen that a few times. I mean, he seems to Charles can get him. He can beat him for sure. So I think, and you've already made the note about him being on the inside line on the racing line. So I think that gives him an advantage, even though he's the superior driver. And poor Russell. I mean, I know he's a fantastic driver. For him to get the Mercedes into first place is absolutely remarkable. And I was watching qualifying. The fact that he did it without winning any of the sectors, and he
was the fastest in any sector.
Super clean drive. The guy, I think he's probably my favorite racer right now. And he's a great defensive driver from what we've seen on the last couple of races. He's been able to hold on to spots really well, which is great. And I think he's a good bet in that regard. But he's not going to be able to hold back the 2 Ferraris this week. Literally,
not for a full race.
Chaps, we know this. The only thing that's stopping Ferrari from finishing 1-2 in this race, and Binotto was talking about it all week, putting tremendous amounts of pressure on his team, talking about finishing 1 and 2. And you got Charles, who, I feel like if the guy doesn't mentally murder himself, he's the fastest car out there, and he's the most dangerous car out there for sure. So I think he's got a really good chance to win. But always on the outside of things is the risk of these two guys running together, fighting for position, and just running into each other, driving off the track. Well, I mean, Carl did he didn't have to have anybody pressuring him. He just drove off the track.
Dude, I think it's really likely that Carlos gets caught out in turn 1. I can see it. He gets a slower start than Leclerc. George moves over to cover Carlos. I think Leclerc, we'll get into it. I don't want to get too ahead of myself on the depths of the books that I got into here. I think Leclerc leads out of turn 1. I think he catches them both off guard. He'll have the same line as George, but I think George moves over to block Sainz, and Sainz gets caught out. He might be in P5 coming out of turn 1, but I hope not, but Sainz might not make it out of turn 1. I still have him.
That's an issue. So I still have him finishing. You still have him finishing P2.
I think he gets caught out. Okay, so we both got the same top 3: Leclerc, Sainz, Russell. I'm gonna go through the next 3 to get to the top 6. I've got Hamilton in P4. I've got Verstappen in P5, and I've got Lando in P6. Okay. Now, why don't you give me yours? We'll get into them.
Okay, man. So I'm going off the board, and I'm going based on some of the performance that we've seen previously and past performance at this track. 4, 5, and 6, I've got Alonso, Ocon, and Verstappen. Right, so I'm giving a big, there's a lot. So a lot of credit to the past performance of how steady the Alpines have been. They've shown the ability to catch the McLaren and to fend off the McLaren. I mean, we saw Alonso essentially do that the entire race last week, right? He held off Norris for multiple laps in a row, and so they were talking about that this week going into some of the practice sessions. McLaren was worried that they are still, pretty significantly off the race pace of the Alpines, and I think that shows. You've got the and let me. I'm going to pull up some of the. Let me look at my notes here. So Fernando Alonso, he's had some really good record at this track. He dominates this track. He 18 starts, 3 DNFs, so 15 left. One time he lost position, right? So 3 DNFs, and then one time he lost position. 3 times he's held position, and One of those times he actually won when he held position, so he held first place. So the other 11 times that he's raced at the Hungaroring, he's gained an average of 3 spots, right? So I think he's confident on this track. We know that Esteban Ocon is confident on this track. I mean, the guy
coming off a
his
win.
first Grand Prix, right? So,
Yep.
like, I'm pretty bullish on Alpine here, and there's a risk to it for sure, absolutely. But we were looking. I was reading some of the technical changes that they brought this week. They tidied up the transition from the beam wing on the back to the end plate. So, like, I have no idea what that means, but based on what they were explaining to me in the article that I was reading, it just essentially gives them a higher downforce setup, which is exactly what they need, and less drag, right? So they're obviously modifying their vehicle, they're tuning it the way that they need to for this race, and so I think they're obviously, again, it's proactive change to increase the downforce, and they've been pretty strong. Actually, they've been quite strong already at the other more downforce oriented tracks. So you've got Monaco, for example, you've got Barcelona, you've got Imola, right? So they've performed quite well. They've held position and gained position at those tracks with that downforce setup as well. So I'm bullish on them.
I don't have him as quite as high as you do, but I do like Alonso. This track seems to be a very flowy track. I listened to the post-qualifying interviews, and Russell was talking about how he nailed it into turn 1, then it continued into turn 2, and that basically set up his whole lap. Both Red Bulls, Max on his first flying lap, binned it into turn 2. He didn't hit the wall. He had a lockup. Coming out of turn 2, he couldn't recover his lap. Now he hit. He had the power issue at the end.
Yeah, he had the power issue at the end. Perez had the traffic. Yeah.
Checo had traffic in turn 2, couldn't come back on the lap. I think it's a very flowy track. I don't know off the top of my head the way that you have downforce. I don't know flowy tracks. I'm thinking Miami's flowy. We saw Alonso have a great weekend in Miami. I think he's maybe a guy that likes to hook up a flowy track where one just goes into the other. I do think that Mercedes looks really good this week, and like I was saying earlier, I'm very bullish on this left side of the track being just way faster off the start. I think Hamilton gets a jump on Alonso off the start. They're starting 7-6. Alonso 6 on the inside, dirty line. Hamilton 7 on the outside. I think Hamilton potentially gets the jump there, and then from then can Ocon and Norris hold off Lewis Hamilton in a Mercedes that has proven it's fast on not only qualifying now, but we know that they're a fast race car on race day. I think he gets up. I don't think he maybe passes George, and some of that might be team orders, but I do think Lewis is the P4. I have Verstappen. I have Verstappen climbing the field. I mean, this just seems like he struggled today because of power. It wasn't that he's bad at this track.
Yeah, no, I know. And that, but so does that? Because like maybe we have to come up with some sort of way that we approach qualifying concerns with the car, right? Like, and we'll talk about Vettel too later. I mean, like, what is it? These guys are like they're going to work on this literally from start to finish, starting now until the car is on the grid to start tomorrow. In theory, it shouldn't be a problem. It's going to be something that these multi-million-dollar organizations can address relatively quickly. I'm assuming.
So half of me says we're the race before the summer break, and maybe Red Bull has stretched their upgrades and their new parts a little bit too far.
I was thinking, because I had read something, maybe Max is going to take a grid penalty. Yeah,
I've read that as well.
Right. But you don't want to take a grid penalty at this track because of how difficult it is to come from the back.
You can't pass
because it's difficult to
can't
pass. So this is here we go, Chaps.
So
we got to think about this, man.
I don't disagree with you there. We haven't seen them have the weekend that we've seen Ferrari have, where they're out of their parts are at their life's end, and it's time to replace. The other half of me says it was just a faulty center in qualifying, and it's very easy to fix overnight, but they couldn't get it turned off properly during the lap, because they were talking a lot about try failure. I think it was 21 or whatever. That's just faulty sensors where they go into a shutdown. But if you could turn the sensor off, the car is actually fine. Presuming that the car is fine, this is a race where the fastest Red Bull just goes through the whole pack, but it's only real competitors, and I am going to include Mercedes as a competitor now at the top 3. They're just going to be too far ahead by the time Verstappen actually gets through all the traffic. He finishes P4. He gets as far as he can, but the gap is too big by then, and he finishes P4.
So we both obviously like him in the top 6, which I think is not even really that big of a stretch.
So does Vegas.
So does Vegas, yeah. So does Vegas. They think they're feeling quite strongly that. Hold on, my phone is locking up on me here.
You've got Alonso, Ocon, Verstappen, 4, 5, 6. I've got Verstappen, Norris, Alonso. I've just kind of kept Norris. We didn't really talk about it. Maybe we'll get into him in a bit. But
yeah, well,
he looks fast. He looks fast.
He looks really fast.
The car has upgrades. Maybe he hangs around.
He hasn't. I just on him really quickly. He hasn't, like, not to say that past performance dictates future performance. I think it's probably one tool that you can use to predict. He hasn't been great at Hungary. I mean, he crashed out last year, but not his fault. And then
was he part of Bottas polling?
I believe
he was just
what I recall. I believe he was. Yeah, and then he dropped 5 spots in 2020. He dropped 2 in 2019. He's had a tough time holding his grid position at this track for whatever reason. Even though it's a downforce track, McLaren seems to be pretty good at the downforce tracks. I mean, so not to say that he is going to fall outside of the top 6. I have him falling to 7.
He's also on the dirty side. I'd be curious to go back. No,
he's on the dirty side. Yeah,
but all those years where he lost positions, did he just lose them off the start because he was on the inside?
It could be.
I don't know. He definitely was caught up in the Bottas because his post-quali interview, he goes, "Oh, I'm starting." Where did he go? I'm starting on the same side as Bottas, so it's a dangerous spot to be, or something along those lines.
Here we go. He just chirps him. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. Oh my god.
Okay, I'm going to round out my 7 to 10. I've got Alonso in 7. I've got Checo in 8. Ocon in 9, and I've got K-Mag coming up into the points in the top 10.
Yeah, you love Kevin Magnussen, and I get it. Like, I mean, with the upgrade package, you think hopefully that he can squeeze into the top 10. So I get why you want.
We've seen them in the top 10 this year. It's not a stretch. It's not.
I agree. I think we've seen them.
TV.
It's not Nicholas. So you're right. I think we've seen them in the top 10 though more often on the power tracks where they get to run. They can really sort of extend their legs.
That's
they
fair.
Get on the big runs, right? That's the power unit that really is sort of narrowing the gap between a lot of those cars. This is a tighter track. I'd have to go back and look. I don't think that they've put together otherworldly performances on the downforce tracks like I kind of mentioned before. To
be honest, their double points finish was a wet qualifying, and for some reason, I remember Magnussen's interview. He's like, I don't know why, but we're just good in the wet.
You guys good in the wet.
I can't explain it, but we're good at, like, the team is good in the wet. And then I think they just held on barely for double points. I was hoping for that today.
It might not be. I know you didn't get it today. It might not be the conditions. Like, if you're talking about low speed and medium speed corners and not a lot of room to sort of stretch that car out, I'm not saying that he can't squeeze into the top 10. My final 3 there, because I mentioned Norris in 7.
Give me your 3.
I had Hamilton, Perez, and Bottas. And so that's like the probably the biggest discrepancy we've already seen immediately is I've got Hamilton at 10, or sorry, 8, not 10. 8. And you have him 4?
I've got him climbing.
You got him climbing.
So you've got who passes? Because Lewis starts in 7. Who do you have? You have Ocon? No, he's already ahead. Verstappen. So you have Verstappen getting through Hamilton, no problem.
I have Verstappen getting through Hamilton. Yeah. So this is. I'll start getting into the.
Do you know what
prognostication here? Yeah.
Well, we should make a quick comment on Lewis's qualifying. His DRS didn't open.
His DRS didn't open. I know.
The car is quick this week.
The car is quick this week, and I think it's again.
And he's the best driver of all time. I mean, in a quick car, in a pole position,
in a competitive car.
And you're going to tell me that he's going to let Verstappen pass him? I don't
know.
So
the only thing I'm concerned about, and so I have to, maybe you could explain the technical side of this, because dude, I honestly, I'm still learning this stuff. I have no idea what I'm talking about from the technical side. But
we started watching Drive to Survive, and we like betting. So
I know.
I gotta say though, I love this sport. This is my favorite sport.
No, I know. And all of a sudden, we're trying to bet $1,000 on a race. Like, it doesn't make any sense. We're gonna make
a bunch of money.
Right. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
So there was a number of quotes that I picked up from Mercedes this week, from Wolf, from the technical engineers, from both of the racers, and they were talking about some of the issues with getting the tire temps up on restarts. Right. That's a big concern for them, and it's going to be cooler temps like we talked about. And so the only reason I'm bringing that up is this track. We saw that there was a massive pileup last year. It's tight. You've got a mixed up field on a tight track where there's going to be
in conditions that they haven't driven in yet this weekend. It's
absolutely
going to cool way down tonight
with cars that faster cars that are behind slower cars. And again, I'm not an expert on racing, but when you put the faster cars behind the slower cars and the slower cars are trying to defend the faster cars, and that's when accidents can happen. So the chances of there being...
Are you a race car driver?
Listen, I feel like I am a race car driver.
Holy,
the chances that there's going to be... I'm throwing Nostradamus. I'm trying to put it all together in my head right now. The chances that there... Well, I'll tell you who I think is going to crash. And I've got maybe my number one lean so far, chaps.
Okay,
I think,
tell me.
So you see Joe down in 12?
Yep.
He is going to crash. So if he doesn't... So let's just quick on Joe. Right? So he's never raced here before. Right, he's a rookie. He's never run the Hungarian before. I don't know if he's done it in a different series or something like that, but he's never raced here before.
Not an F1.
Yeah, there's usually. I'll just quickly. I think I texted you this the other day, but last year we had the accident. There was 5 people gone, and there was one technical retirement. 2020 and 2019, you had one technical retirement each. Then in 18 and 17, you had 2 technical retirements and 2 cars that were out by accident. So, there's going to be cars off the track. Hopefully, there's definitely going to be retirement. I say hopefully only because that just plays into what I'm talking about. I don't want anybody get killed or anything like that, obviously, but hopefully it does play into what I'm talking about. So specifically on the maybe not just on Joe, but just on the Alfa Romeo, because the prop itself might be focusing more on Alfa versus just Joe himself, because that's picking one guy out of the group. But again, he's never raced there. He was suffering. I don't know if you remember. So he came out of France with a power unit issue, right? So he retired in France.
Yeah,
he
had barely see him.
Yeah, so you never see him because he's retired in 5 of the 12 races that he's been in, right? So, now 4 of those retirements.
Okay.
Yeah, literally, right? So 4 of those retirements have been technically related retirements with the Alfa. And they've struggled with a bunch of different things, and then they've got the Ferrari power unit, so that's one of the issues that they've been experiencing. And we know, so I don't think he's had a replacement. I'd have to look to see. I couldn't find any information about him having a replacement power unit yet.
Oh,
right?
okay, yeah.
We know Bottas had his replaced. When did he do it? Austria or Canada? Austria. He had his done at some point a couple of weeks ago, right? So there's a chance that his goes. You've got the proximity to the brake. So let's say there is something wrong with the power unit, even something slightly, and he's running a little bit further back. They're probably going to retire the car, right? Also, the fact that he's in the 12th position. Just I think that is his grid spot, correct?
It is, and
it's his grid spot. And
it's on
the
dirty side of the line.
It's on the dirty side of the track. So the cars in front of him, it's like Sergio and Danny and Max are in front of him. Cars he's not.
Yeah.
Right. Cars he's not going to catch, which means he's going to defend against the upgraded Haas, which he probably doesn't have the speed, or they're going to be very similar. It's going to be very competitive. Magnussen himself is kind of like a reckless driver, right? He's off the track all the time.
He's made contact with Lewis 3 or 4 times this year.
I know, right? I think I would be surprised if those two have come. I think they might have come together at some point too.
Well, Mike, I'm right with you. I mean, I see Magnussen gobbling Joe right off the line.
Here we go. The first bet we want to make is a guy to get into a crash. This is perfect.
Then K-Mag only needs to pass both Red Bulls, and he's in the top 10. Easy.
I'm okay with I would say I don't see. It's possible, but so there's a risk if you take K-Mag. If you think Joe is off the track, there's a risk that he's like K-Mag collateral, right? Obviously that exists as a risk. I'm not saying it's such a risk that we shouldn't make a bet on Kevin Magnussen to finish in the top 10, because I think he might have the speed to be able to do it. But the prop was, so there's a million different ways to bet on a guy not finishing, right? And probably the simplest way I think it is based on total classified drivers, or was it team classified drivers, or both cars to be classified? Actually,
is it the 3-way? Yeah, you want the over, or both to be classified.
Both cars to be classified, yes or no? Actually, no. Maybe we do the 3-way.
I mean,
no, it's just no. It's both. It would be both cars. So both cars to get classified. Alfa Romeo. I mean, perhaps not strangely, at plus 162, they're the most favorable odds.
How about first team to retire plus 650? Alfa Romeo.
And that, I was thinking about that, but then, anything could happen at that point. The leaders go into the turn first. They could be the first cars to retire. You know what I mean? In theory. Like if we truthfully think, and Bottas is,
I don't know. How, it's whoever they put at 20 on that list of DNFs. I don't know how they decide that.
Neither do I, actually. That's a good point. And that might be then what? So then you're just leaving it up to timing and chance. Like if you take, I know it's plus 162. I mean, let's keep in mind it's plus 162 for a reason, right? Like that's not. It's barely over even money.
How about
Alfa
this?
Romeo is going to have a car come out of the race.
You know who Joe is starting right beside?
Who's
Sergio Perez.
Oh my, yeah. Okay. So
How about a Checo retire first lap?
Oh, Checo,
Plus-
like the guys,
plus 500.
he's never finished a race that we've bet on him in.
He hasn't finished a lap in the past 3 races. Like
I know.
What's going on? Plus 500, first driver, or no, retire first lap. First driver to retire, Checo is plus 2,000. That's crazy.
No, but Joe, I think I think he's the favorite.
Joe.
Him and Albon, I think, are like plus 1,100. I think, if I remember correctly.
Let's save your prop. I like the explanation,
Okay,
but I'm not going to write down the actual prop just yet. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Where do you have Joe finishing? Since we're on him, we'll just jump. Yeah.
Where do I have him finishing? I have him finishing last.
You have P20.
Yeah, he's not finished. I don't have. You know what? I'll give him 20. Maybe he spins off the track and he comes back on. But
I got him finishing. I got him down to 16.
Last.
I got him down to 16.
Yeah, I'm down to 16. Okay, you have him sliding though. Okay.
Give me your 10, your 11 to 19. We got Joe at 20.
Yeah, so I have Magnussen on the outside looking in at 11. Okay. Then Danny, he just drives like a bitch now. I don't know. I don't think he's going to make it. I know you got the McLaren hat on, but
I do. They're my guys. I mean, hey, fair play to the fans. I like McLaren. They suck this year.
They do suck. But let's Then I have I have Vettel, then Stroll, then Albon, Gasly, Schumacher, Tsunoda. I mean, Nick, he might retire anyway. We don't even know if he's just put him down for DNF too.
Tsunoda, and then who's 19? Or did I miss one?
Who's left? Latifi.
Okay, I've got Ricardo in 11, Bottas 12, Schumacher 13, Stroll and Vettel 14, 15, Zhou, Tsunoda 16, 17, Albon, Gasly, Latifi at the back. Latifi sucks. I mean,
we know that.
You know what? Quick kudos, shout out, all the positives to Latifi. He led a practice session.
P3? Yeah.
We saw the Canadian flag at the top of the charts in a practice session. It meant nothing. He followed it up very quickly with a P20 qualification.
So explain to me, as a layman, how could that happen? Is it because it's wet conditions and he has nothing to live for, so he just drives like a maniac, and everybody else is conserving their vehicles like regular drivers?
Maybe. I think it was more timing. It dried up. He happened to be the guy that crossed the line at zeros, got the last lap in when there was the most rubber, and hey, you know what? He didn't bin it. He didn't put it on the wall. So
the luck broke his way for the first time, I feel like, probably in his career.
But he still had to keep it on the track. So he did that. Halfway through, they're like, Latifi, purple sector 1. If he can just finish the lap, we might see something special.
That's what they talk about. If he could just cross the line,
just keep it moving forward.
Keep it on the wall, man. Don't accidentally hit the brake. Don't put it in park.
So we've got the same podium. I don't know if that's good or bad.
I don't know either, man. So I did. I don't know. I think. What did I see? I saw minus 225 for Ferrari to win. And if you want to start, if we're going to start talking about some of the props and maybe some of like the bigger share of the pot, that might be one that we want to entertain. Like realistically.
Yeah,
I love George Russell, like we talked about. He's my boy.
He's not going to hold them off.
He can't, right? Like, there's no way he's going to be able to hold them off. And minus 225 is not a terrible return on a significant bet, right? And I think if I'm going to start divvying up the pie here. If you've got minus 225 on the line, you're going to have to do the math for me because I don't have the app open. But can you fire that in? What's the return?
On how much money?
On, I don't know, let's say like $400 or something like that.
How do I do this math, Mike?
What do you mean you have to do the math? Just go to Bet365 and click on the bet.
Oh, no, I'm not logged in.
Oh, we gotta fire open the book then, man.
Yeah. Let me get it logged in So you're looking at a Ferrari to win. That's what you're thinking.
which I think that we're quite confident that it's going to happen again, unless they ruin it themselves, which is entirely possible. There's a reason why that's not like minus 500. It should be like minus 500, really. Like it should be.
225 is pretty good.
Yeah. That's what I wrote down. I believe that it's minus 225.
I can't do that.
You can't log in. You can't look at how much it's gonna.
I could do it though. 400.
Well, you could just like.
Yeah. 177.
Yeah. Okay. 177.
Profit.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to start there. I mean, if you want to start at the top, if you want to like, I'm looking at what's the more favorable. What are the favorable bets that we feel confident in that we can?
And we've got a week where the Red Bull's irrelevant in terms of who's going to win this race.
It doesn't
unless something crazy happens. But
more comfortable. Yeah, but if something crazy happens, then who knows, right? Like, I mean, yeah.
And this is the week where we just had new parts for Carlos, and we're only a couple races off new parts for Leclerc. Like, this is the safest time to take a Ferrari to win this race.
It should be. In theory, it should be. Is it, do we get a bit of a boost in the odds because George happened to, again, have this phenomenal lap in qualifying and he's on the pole? We do. And so I don't know if there's a reason.
George did that for us. Not for him.
Did.
He did that for us.
I think he did it for us, Chaps. I agree.
Yeah.
I think he did it for us. And I minus 225, I'm like, I would feel pretty confident that we could make up. Like, then we've got $170 in theory to start betting on maybe some crazier things.
I'd go half.
I would go higher. I would do half.
I go 500 on this.
I would do 500
I'm gonna jot
on
it.
minus 225. Yeah, let's keep. Well, it's just one of the notes that I had made about, a bet that seemed to be reasonable, a high bet, like a high volume bet in terms of the money spent.
Very likely to happen.
It is very likely to happen.
This counters that bet, but I just thought it was very interesting. Is there any chance that Ocon repeats here? There's a bet on. No,
I don't like that. Why do we can't? What are we gonna
plus 15,000? That'd be crazy.
No,
let's put $1 on it.
Put $1 on it. Sure, we could do that. That he repeats, but I mean, the fact that the way he won last year could never be replicated again.
No,
there's no way.
No, and he needed Alonso to defend for his life against Hamilton.
Literally, I know.
Yeah,
that's the only reason why he won.
So I also had written down Ferrari minus 225. The Mercedes is plus 260 if we think there's any chance that George holds on.
Well, let me run this by you from another high bet volume perspective. A lot of money. Minus 200 for Merc, both cars to finish in the points. Like, you are so bullish on Lewis Hamilton. So like, obviously odds makers are thinking, does he get tied up? So the reason I want to there has to be a Merc bet. There has to be a conservative Merc bet because they're the most reliable car on the track.
Got an interesting long shot Merc bet.
Okay, well we can look at that too. But I'm thinking you've got a guy in first place, right? So there's a pretty good chance he finishes in the points. And then you've got Lewis Hamilton. You've already said you've got him on the inside line. You think that he's going to move up. I still had him. I had him in 8, but I had him in the top 10. Like, are we foolish not to take? They look from a constructor perspective. They look as good as anybody out there.
They do.
And like you said, Lewis could have had a top 3 start tomorrow if his DRS wing was opening.
I'm going to jot that down too. I don't know, to your point, I don't know if both top 6, I mean, it's minus 150 for both top 6. But you need a good day.
Like, you need a good day. You need a good day. Like, why? I think because I'm assuming that the share, the big share of our money is going to go on those 2 bets.
I mean, that is the way we should approach this weekend.
I think so, right? I think. Now, the risk of obviously doing that is you're saying you need 2 cars to be able to finish the race, which in Mercedes' case is actually very likely. I mean, it's extremely likely, even if you look at the odds. And Ferrari, I mean, you take a chance anytime you bet on them. I mean, I don't know.
I've got another one that's minus 3 or more leaders in the race. So we've got George off the line, guaranteed leader. Yeah. I think one of the Ferraris passes him. That's 2. Now, do the Ferraris swap each other during strategy, where the third one leads the race for a while?
It's
I don't
entirely possible.
I don't know if Norris gets, or does Lewis start on hards tomorrow, and he just gets the lead because he's the longest first stint. I think it's really likely a third guy gets that lead. I think we see 2 leaders out of turn 1.
So what's the
Minus
what are the odds on that?
188. Minus 188.
Is that the favorite in that grouping of bets? I think it is, right?
I think it's a yes or no.
Like,
I think
are
it's
the
like an over under 3.
No, because I thought it was 3. I thought there was like 3 options that you get. One,
where did I
2,
actually number of
and
race
3
leaders?
or more? Yeah, 1, 2, and 3 or more, if I recall.
Oh yeah, it's the favorite. 2 liters is plus 175. 1 liter, George to do the whole race is plus 1,000. Minus 188. 3.
I like that. I like that bet. I like that bet too. I like that.
I think
bet
that's
too.
very
Just
likely.
based on how we see especially the start of the race unwinding. And you're right. Like you could have the strategy. So the strategy shown by Ferrari.
Crash. You could have a pass on track. You could have strategies.
You could have tire. You could have tire management that leads to a different leader out there for sure. Would the Ferraris
first guy to come in for wets or inters if they're talking about rain, and then a guy takes the lead?
Well, it's the favorite on the board for a reason, right? I mean, and so would Ferrari? They could take them off in consecutive laps and have anybody could go back. I mean, that would be in theory.
Usually the leader comes in first.
Yeah, so let's say,
and then the guy takes over for a lap, and then he comes in.
So Sainz that's his lap, and that's the third race leader. Boom. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, George leads off the line. Now, leader of the race, do they have to lead for a lap? Do they just have to take over P1
I think they
for
just
a
have
second?
to take well, okay, hold on. I had it opened at one point. Bet365's got like their glossary of bets.
Do they? Okay, that would be really good. Yeah.
Let me just see if I could find it.
So I had that one as a.
Ooh, I do really like that one.
Bet. Yeah, that's as far as I've written down in terms of minus money. I got some stuff in the weeds.
You got some stuff in the weeds. Okay, sorry. What's the name of that bet?
Number of race leaders.
Number of race leaders. The driver who is in the car occupying the forward-most grid spot position at the start of the race counts as a race leader. In addition, after the race has started, any driver who completes a lap in first place counts as a race leader. The official FIA results at the time of the podium presentation. Yeah. No, I mean, it doesn't really change my mind.
I still think we hit it.
Like, yeah, like it's not like you're going to... there's going to be a double pass on the same lap? I think that's unlikely. For the lead of the race, I think that's extremely unlikely.
I see this happening. The third.
That's
guy
not prohibitive. That's not prohibitive to that bet. Yeah, that's not
gets
prohibitive to that bet. No, I totally agree. Okay, so we like that too. Okay, what?
Do you have any other minus bets?
I do. I have others. I have some other minus money that I like. Well, I did say. I mean, again, we don't need to get too defensive, but minus 120. So it's even yes or no. So fade or agree for Alpine in the points. Both cars in the points.
Both cars in the points.
Both cars in the points. Ocon being like I would say the risk. I think
I've got
Alonso's
them both in the points.
Driven so well. We both have them in the points. It's just how much risk do we? And so the obviously the odds makers think that there's the same chance that they end up outside the points that they end up inside the points. We think we're bullish on Alpine. Well, we seem to be both bullish on Alpine. I like this Alpine. You do. I know you do like Alpine. I like Alpine in the Alpine McLaren matchup, right? So I think that they're taking those positions. Hopefully, I don't think that like Alpha's coming out. I don't think a Bottas really is a threat. They can still get in the points with both the Red Bulls in the points, right? What are the chances of them dropping out?
Yeah, so Ricciardo's going to fall, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like, who outside of the top 10, out of the points right now? Checo, maybe. K-Mag, I have him, but that's debatable. No one else is a favorite to go into the points to knock both.
Well, first of all, Chaps, let's keep in mind that, like, the whole back half of this race is going to be completely, utterly blown up by Joe just doing whatever he's going to do. He might run into somebody. He might have a technical failure. Yeah, like it could happen, right? He might have a technical failure on the track and be sideways in the middle of the track. On
both points,
minus 120.
Like we're getting less minus 2, which is nice, but I still like these. I still like that. What do I want to start with here in terms of my plus? This stood out to me really, really weird. And it's a total, there's no way to know. It's just, do you want to sit on your hands, on your thumbs tomorrow and just in anticipation?
What is it?
But man, it would be a fun one to
It's
ride
gonna be like
with.
winning margin or something stupid.
Fastest pit stop. How fun is it? Just you're waiting for that little 2.4 to pop up or a 3.8. I mean, I'm getting pretty good. I can feel it. 2.7. That was slow. Like I know. Mercedes to have the fastest pit stop. Those Germans, the way that they're well oiled, plus 1600. The favorite is Red Bull minus 138.
Then it's McLaren. I think I saw. Why is it McLaren? I guess it must be past performance, right? That measures it or not?
It must be, but didn't they change the rule last year against Mercedes because they were doing their pit stops too fast, or it was against Red Bull? But they were both like going sub 2 seconds. So why is Mercedes? Why are they plus 1600?
Well, see, that's like you think it might be a mistake, but there's probably something that's going on. The odds makers they're not screwing it up. They've made it 6+6. It's probably like infinitely impossible that it happens.
It's just been Red Bull every race this year.
Maybe.
Maybe not even minus more.
No, but that's what's confusing about it. They're obviously having average pit stop times.
I mean, that's so full disclosure. That is not a racing There's nothing behind
it's kind of an interesting.
I just saw it, and hey, maybe for $20 out of our 1,000, to win plus 1,600, or I don't know.
I kind of not that we need to make ground rules for how we do this, but I kind of envisioned keeping betting $100 as the minimum on a bet.
Okay,
we have a bet minimum. I don't think we have a maximum for number of bets that we make, but I think we have 3 bets, 3 minus money bets that we're probably going to spend a significant chunk of our pod on.
Think so. Yeah.
And then maybe we have 1 or 2 right now of $100 plus money bets that we just take. How is this shaping up to you right now? I think it's $500, maybe it's 400 and 300 on the first 2 that we talked about with Ferrari and Merc. Then it's the Alpine I really like the.
I might go 5. I'm kind of thinking 5 on the 3 or more leaders.
Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know about that. No.
I'm hesitant to put all our chunk on the winner.
We have to.
I think
no. We have to put more money.
I think it's very likely. Sorry,
I'll
go ahead. It's very likely.
Take the Mercedes. Yeah.
Then Mercedes both points. That's very very likely.
Let's take that one. We both seem to think from a reliability perspective that they're going to do it. We think that they lost positions in qualifying because of the DRS issue. You feel very strongly that Lewis is going to perform well. I don't think he's going to fall outside the top 10.
I think
that might be. Yeah. Okay. Well, then again, whether they're 3-4 or 3-8, it doesn't matter as long as they're both up there, and we're quite confident, knocking on wood, that their cars aren't going to blow up.
And I feel way safer in the top 10. We didn't see them both in the top 6. So
no, can you confirm that? I had it written down. minus 200. Can you confirm that that's what it is? I just want to make
both
sure.
Both cars points, right? Points.
Yeah. I mean, one of them is in first place.
Mercedes,
come on.
Yeah, minus 225. Yeah, the guy's starting
minus 225. So it's minus.
And then
you've got
the all-time.
Buddy, you've got people. I jotted that down 40 minutes ago. So you've got the public is hammering that bet already. It's already jumped.
Wait, what did you jot it? 225 is what I have. That's what you told me.
Minus 200.
Oh, you told me 225.
Oh, sorry, I must have misspoken then.
Oh, or maybe I don't know. We'll check the recording. Hey, go back and clip it.
Go back and clip it.
Both Haas and the points plus 650.
No, Mick Schumacher doesn't have a chance. He's not going to.
Here's the only concern. One concern I have with Mercedes and the points, Bottas is right behind Hamilton, and he's just going to take him bowling.
You can take him out. So they have this issue. I don't know if you've read anything about Alpha. So Bottas says he's done really well on the high downforce circuits. I was looking for a way to get him into the top 8, into the top 6. He's performed really well. And if
he's done really well at this track.
And he's done well. He's not crashing into everybody. He has done really well in Hungary. Yeah. Right now, there's something that happens though with the Alpha that, they were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and then loses a bunch of positions at the start of the race because they've got this clutch issue. Have you read anything about that?
With who? The Romeo?
The Romeo. Yeah.
Well,
they've got
the Sauber.
A million problems with the car
out of nowhere. I know it's not out of nowhere. I know.
Well, because there's no Alfa Romeo components to the car. That's my understanding, right? It's just
my understanding was Alfa Romeo.
They're just a sponsor. That's it.
Yeah, they're the sponsor, but Sauber is still the owner of the team.
Yeah, and that's it. They're just literally it's for advertising. I think that's all it is.
I can't find my note, but Bottas was something he's won. What was it? Something about 13.
I just
Oh, no,
so
it
I
was-
gave
no, it
him
was said.
yeah I gave him the benefit of the doubt that he's not going to drop out of the top 10. I kept him at 10. I think. Where did you keep him?
Bottas, I had him outside the top 10, partly because I do see K-Mag making a jump off the start.
Yeah, I don't.
I
So
have-
that just to that point, I don't think the K-Mag's going to take, like, based on Bottas's performance on track at some of the, like I talked about Imola, we talked about Barcelona, we talked about Monaco. He's put in some really good performances. I think he's jumped positions into, like, I think he's had like 5th and 6th at some of those
A lot
racetracks.
of
And
that, it feels like that was earlier in the year where they maybe had just the best power unit and they nailed it.
And
But the
I agree.
teams have been catching
But
them lately.
Power unit doesn't, like, on those tracks though, like the ones that we're talking about, Barcelona, Imola, Monaco.
Yeah.
The power unit isn't the most significant part of it. I think probably for him, it's really he's just a good driver, and all of a sudden the field, the power units of other vehicles are not able to create separation from him. But the reason I'm having him drop back is because I think for whatever reason they're struggling with this clutch issue and he's not getting away well. Like he seems to drop a lot of positions right away when he's in the midfield. He started from the back, right? So one time, and
But he
made
was
some
like
positions
that
up.
on Mercedes too. He'd qualify and pull, and then Max would jump him right into turn 1, or Checo
Yeah,
would get him.
he might just be. Maybe he's just.
he
And I don't
just
know. Like
gets
maybe he's
gobbled.
slow. Maybe he's slow off. Maybe he's very slow off the line.
Maybe
That
he's
could
just
be
a
it.
slow guy.
He could be just slow. Maybe he's just slow. Guy spends a lot of time in the sauna, right? I mean, he's in slow motion.
I lost on Bottas.
So that, yeah. So that, well, that kind of plays into the Alfa Romeo thing, though, right? Just in case, like, I mean, he slows down. He's got to make up positions. Maybe Joe. Who knows what's going to happen with him?
Joe's going to hit Checo in turn 1.
So, but is that a plus money bet that we want to make? I have. Okay,
I mean-
I have a feeling. Like I have. Okay, maybe I said before we don't have to, like, minimum doesn't have to be. Maybe minimum's 50. Like I think there's a couple of these like higher.
I'd love to throw a 50.
We
on,
got to
like, a
take some
flyer.
flyer. We got to take some
Yeah.
flyers here for sure, right? Like I mean, we got
It's
to.
one of those hits, man. Then you've made your 1,000 back for the week, and everything else is
completely
gravy.
agree. No, I completely agree. So okay, fine. If we're gonna say so, my flyer for sure is that Joe is the first guy out of the race. Like, and it's plus. I think it's plus 1,100.
Did we write that down? Yeah. First, I thought I had first for tires here somewhere. Now I have Checo. Okay. Joe first pit stop plus 1,400. Now I did a bunch of these first pit stops, and what I liked about that compared to the retire is they don't actually have to destroy their car. They can just make contact in turn 1, and then have to go to pits for new wing, new tires.
Yeah, but then if they don't, but
they got to be the guy that gets in there first.
Yeah, they have to get in there first. No, I
First
think
pit stop.
there's a reason why it's plus 1,100 for him and plus 1,400 to go into the pits. Plus 11 for him to, like, obviously
1,400 to
not
go in
be
the
classified.
pits. Yuki Tsunoda plus 1,200. Gasly was plus 1,400. They're all big plus money because it's tough to guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, doesn't it feel like every race one of the AlphaTauris comes into the pits after lap 1?
Without a doubt. Like, I don't. If you've got. So the only reason I'm bringing, like, you have other plus money leans. Don't try to manufacture. Don't manufacture one right now.
I do.
Go tell me the ones that you think. Like, I have some other plus money leans.
I'll tell
we
you
can talk
two that
about,
I
but
really
yeah.
like. I'll tell you
Yeah.
two that I really like. Leader after lap 1. Charles Leclerc plus 550. I think
really like that too.
I think he gets it out of turn 1 and he runs away with the race. It's his race after that.
That fits with the narrative that we've already put together. So yeah,
Leader after lap 1 and win, you get him plus 650.
we both think that's going to happen, right?
Yeah. Ferrari to lead after lap 1 and win. Oh no, Ferrari just to lead after lap 1 plus 187, still plus money. But I kind of like this Leclerc. Maybe even to win. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe we don't do the win in case he spins.
I would take I would take
like
so
at 550 to 650. Take the 550.
550. Yeah, so I like that.
So he just has to lead at the end of lap 1. Maybe double check because we're fans. We're new here. We're just getting going on this.
We don't know what we're doing.
We want to make sure that
lap
is
1.
how we read it. Lead after, because it's written lead after 1 lap. Oh no, lap 1.
No, lead after lap 1. Yeah.
No, it's leader after 1 lap. Yeah, I mean that's
so
how you read
that's
it.
got to be. Well, it's got to be. I think that's exactly what we think it is.
Leclerc plus 550.
Okay, we gotta
I might like that the most.
put some money on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's a 50. Like, well, like let's put that in the flyer pile for sure. I'm guessing here. I think like Joe's gonna blow up. You've got something that probably is well based on the logic of the inside line, based on the car in front of him not being as fast as him.
The Great Wall of George is going to defend signs on the. He's going to he's going to move over.
He's going to go too. Yeah,
and they're going to break. Watch it, man. Leclerc just around the outside. Boom. He leads and he runs away with the race. Okay. That's already 2 leaders out of 3. 1 turn.
Yeah. So hold on. I like you're writing these down.
I'm writing them all down.
Do we both have black V-necks on too?
I got I got brown buttons on mine.
Hide the buttons. We're just the black V-neck. This is a degenerate.
I almost went like Hawaii. Like this is like one of those light shirts. I almost went one with palm trees and stuff.
Oh, that would have been. We're gonna get there. We're gonna be doing that soon.
This is a tough weekend. That's a weekend where we're. Although I think we might be seeing it. We might be seeing it here.
It's going to be fucking mayhem tomorrow for sure. There's no way. There's no way we're seeing it right.
No, there's absolutely no way. We're going to get destroyed.
Yeah, for sure.
One other one that I thought was interesting was trying to predict the fastest lap. Red Bull is plus 200. Mercedes is plus 550. I don't see either of them in the battle for the lead. And again, I think I've kind of talked about this in our previous shows, but the leader just rarely gets fastest lap. They're too preoccupied with making sure they win the race. It's someone in those, maybe not even podium. It's like 4 to 10. They're in the points. It counts for something. I mean, Verstappen's going to get the fastest lap in this race, right?
I think so. Yeah, that's actually not a bad bet. I mean, we know that they do extremely well on the downforce tracks, and
or does one of the Mercedes at plus 550? They're in the pole position car.
No, it's going to be.
You don't like that.
I like Perez or Verstappen to do it. What was it? What was that?
Plus 200 for just a Red Bull to have the fastest lap. Oh, I mean, if we're pretty sure it's Verstappen, I'm sure you get better odds. I'll check.
No, but it could be. It could. Well, see,
I don't think they get that much better because it's basically you're betting on Verstappen anyway.
Pretty well. It must be. It's pretty probably. Yeah, it's probably fair. Very plus 250 maybe or something like that.
I think it was 225. Yeah, you
literally get plus 2. Yeah, that's how little confidence they have in Checo. Oh my god! What happened to this guy?
Yeah, I was so on him 3 weeks ago. He was my guy.
I know. Ever since you guys want to put him in the podium, and I faded him.
No, we're not on him this week, so he's going to win this race.
He's going to win. He'll win. You're right. Okay.
I think that's kind of where I got with the books in terms of interest level. Anything that you have that we didn't really get to?
Yeah, the only other one that I was kind of looking at. So we had Danny. Did we both have Danny to fall out of the top 10?
I had him out of the top 10.
So that's a plus 125.
For him specifically to not be in the points.
Yeah, to fade him out of the points is plus 125. And I had that's tough for me personally. Why, you got the McLaren hat?
I got the hat. I mean, do I want to sit there?
Don't let it cloud your judgment, Chaps. Don't let it cloud your judgment.
No,
I hope he crashes.
It's not clouding my judgment. I'm just wondering, do we have value elsewhere where I don't have to actively cheer against my guy?
We had, so I mean, it's I think it's plus 125 for a reason, right? I mean,
it is on the plus side.
Yeah,
he's starting in ninth.
It's on the plus side. He's in the top 10. But
that being said, barring a crash, who takes his spot? You need 2 drivers. Checo, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Who else?
Well, you love your
Magnussen.
That's your guy. No, I know.
But you're against McKay.
I'm not against.
I'm not you to defend it.
I have Magnussen. I had Magnussen at 11 and Ricciardo at 12 because I have Joe not finishing. Like, I took the extraordinary measures of just taking a guy off the final grid.
Bottas up there. See, I had Bottas falling to 12 because he sucks at the starts and he's on the dirty side.
Well, he's going to fall. So he will. Like,
what's Bottas? What's Bottas out of the points?
I don't think I could take it. I wouldn't be able to back it. I couldn't back it because he's performed so well at some of these tracks, the downforce tracks.
This track, yeah.
Yeah, right. This track, the downforce tracks. I couldn't take him falling. I think he's going to fall out, but I think he fights back a bit because he's such a good driver.
Is he though?
Yeah. What do you mean? Actually, you know what? It was interesting. I was looking. So if you look back, I think he's in the top 5 for best lap times in like 7 of the 12 races. Like he lays down really good laps.
Race lap times?
Race lap times. He's a fast driver.
I'll tell you exactly why, Mike. Let me educate you. Let me educate you and the people.
Why?
Because for the past 7 years, he was in the fastest car on planet Earth, and he was the number 2 driver sitting in 4th. And they're like, "Okay, Bottas, we're gonna pull you in for softs, and you're gonna get the fastest lap."
No.
So he set all the records.
No, Chaps. In the Alfa Romeo, over the last 12 races this year, he's been in the top 5 for lap times, like 5 or 6 times.
I totally
top 5.
I
top 5. Well, I'm just saying, like you know what? That means he's. Yeah.
I didn't even listen to the stat you gave me.
Oh, great. Okay. So you think he's going to fall out of the top 10? We're not like I don't think that one. I think you've laid down a lot of really good value bets. I don't agree with that one. I think he's going to finish inside the top 10.
I don't even know if that's value. I just think we have bets that we can cheer in favor of instead of maybe trying to manufacture a bet against someone at this stage.
That's fine. So the Ricardo one was out there. That was a plus money one. I'm okay with that too.
We're good vibes here on F1000.
Yeah. So did I have Seb to beat Lance was plus 100. I'm kind of changing my mind on that because I don't know what is the condition his car's in.
When they went down, that's a great point with his crash. They went down to the wire in the last turn, the last race.
And
Stroll defended.
He's faster than Lance, and Lance jumped. Lance went from 15 to 10 because he had like an unbelievable start last race.
Crazy
start.
Yeah.
So he jumps those positions. Credit to him, he holds on to 10 the entire time. But Seb came all the way back and caught him. So I'm thinking like if he doesn't get an incredible start, which the chances he kind of stinks, he's probably not going to get an incredible start again. Chances are no. Then, but I don't know. Seb, I just don't know the condition of his car. I was really the whole week I wanted to put Seb into a bet because he's retiring and all that type of stuff. I thought he was gonna. What? What are you looking at?
Seb points is only plus 250. I guess no one really gets crazy. Latifi gets to 800, but that is.
Yeah, he's an 18 in his car. No, I don't think so. Can you fade him? What's the fade? It's probably like minus $1 million.
Minus 350. Should we just put $1,000 on Latifi to not be in the points? Minus 2,500 every week. Every week we make money. Mike. This is an investment plan. What's that return? No, wait, that's way less than interest.
What's what's the basic interest rate? That's what we need to know.
Are you just
is it outperform interest? Does it outperform GICs? That's all we need to know.
Latifi, no points every week. How are your investments doing? It's the F1 off season, so I'm waiting. I need Latifi to get back in the car and not get in the points.
That's right.
I don't think I have anything else. Is there any chance both Ferraris don't finish this race? Although you're not seeing Mercedes the same way. Mercedes' most team points was plus 250. I thought that was maybe interesting, but that relies on a Ferrari not being ahead of the two Mercs. I think because I don't think Russell. Well, I guess if Russell wins, they're gonna win. That to me is like a 3-4 finish, and both Ferraris are not 1-2.
Yeah,
that's too much to bank.
I think
we got things that were.
We've got some things.
Stretch.
Let's figure out what we're doing with those bets because I think we've got a good set of props here that we want to put some money on. I think
we got 5 props. I don't know if you're writing them down. I'll give them to you. We got Ferrari to win for minus 225.
Yep.
We've got Mercedes, both cars in the points, minus 225. We've got Alpine, both in the points, for minus 120. 3 or more race leaders at minus 188. And Leclerc to be the leader after the first lap at plus 550.
Okay. And now what were that was plus 550. The other flyer that we had, I don't know if you want to entertain it even a little bit, is I'm telling you, I got this feeling about Joe. I got a feeling about Joe.
You're big on Joe. I'm going to entertain you just for the sake of our camaraderie.
That could be like a $50 bet on Leclerc, maybe more actually, and then $50 on Joe. Not to say that we need to put a minimum again, like I said, in terms of what we bet, but that's plus.
What is it?
1,100. I think it's plus 1,100. It's
on
And
What's the bet though?
The first car to retire, or the first driver to retire? First driver to retire, I think.
Or was it 1100 for both alphas?
Sorry, it's
No, that
first
was
driver to
650.
retire. He's plus 1,000 for both drivers to retire.
And is it worth going 650 for both drivers? You like Bottas here, so there's no point to add.
I don't think he's going to be.
Plus 1,000.
Plus 1,000. He's a plus 1,000.
Okay. See, I like this, Mike, because we've got some minus, we've got some plus.
I like the Leclerc.
Money.
I like it. The Leclerc plus. So I think without a doubt now it seems like the bulk of the pot is going toward that Merc bet.
Merc
just because so we have
that's
to.
where my head was.
We should always err on the side of reliability. I
Yep.
would imagine, right? And you take the most reliable vehicle to stay on the track. So if we've got 4 minus bets, and we've got $100 tied up in the flyer bets. Are we putting?
Well, we've got two at minus.
$500?
We've got 2 bets at minus 225, and I just think one is so much safer than the other.
I agree.
Like I almost don't want to touch the Ferrari win.
No,
I'd rather
we can't not. We both see it the same way. We can't not do that. How can we not? How can we not do that?
It's just at the same odds. I'd rather just double the Merc bet.
No. Wait, at the same odds, you might
at the same payout.
No. You might as well just lessen the bet amount on the Ferrari bet. That's fine. Like it's a good bet. We have to diversify. We have another Ferrari bet that's something like that's tied in to a degree, but it doesn't include signs. It's Leclerc.
If a Ferrari doesn't win, it's probably a Mercedes. But we
think the Ferrari's going to win. Like we think Ferrari's going to win. So we okay.
Do.
So what do we get? Okay, this is the opposite.
Just hear me out. Do you understand what I'm saying, though?
I get what you're saying.
They're the same odds. So we're going to place 2 bets and get the same payout. And both Mercedes finishing in the top 10. Like anything can happen at the start. Haven't we seen both Ferraris DNF this year? We did once.
Yeah,
they
so
both
what do you think?
DNF'd.
Yeah, but George
I just think
to finish
if we're going to place money on both, it just feels way safer to put both Mercs in the top 10 than to try to actually pick the winner at the same payout. Like I'd rather just double up. I'd rather take whatever money we're putting on Ferrari and just add that to the Mercedes bet. It's the same payout.
The only problem I have with that is that the issue is both cars have to finish, right? So we really feel bullish on Mercedes, right? But you just have such an inherent risk by not diversifying, right? Like anything could happen to George Russell with those 2 psychopaths behind him, realistically, right? Lewis Hamilton's got to come through the field if he wants to make a challenge. He could get clipped. So you have to diversify, or else you're really going to... We can't end up with all our eggs in one basket. It just doesn't make any sense. I really love the bet, and I think it should be the primary bet.
It was just the fact that they're the same
primary
odds.
Bet.
If they were different odds, then maybe it's not... My head's not saying the same thing.
We better get this Merc bet at what it is right now, because it's going to be like minus 250 before we blink.
Should we still make sure? Versus both... I'm going to go over to it. I really like the 3 or more leaders at minus 188, and it's just better odds. I don't know how you feel about that.
I really like that. No, that's got to... I still think it's a tertiary bet just because of the odds. But I like that more than the Alpine bet. I like that more than the Alpine bet.
And, yeah.
It fits the narrative for what we think is going to happen, right?
Yeah. So are we 500 on the Mercedes?
Okay, so let's work that out. Like, let's say we're $50 on each of the Flyers. We're 500 on the Mercedes. What's the return on that? At 225, it's like 170 or 170.
222. 500
222.
225. Yeah,
222. So we've got and then so we're looking at what are we splitting? Why don't we split the 400 on the Ferrari and the 3 more?
Just 2 and 2?
2 and 2.
Okay.
And we'll fade.
Ferrari's going to win this race.
We'll take the Alpine off the board.
Yeah. And I'd say we put the 100 on Leclerc leader after lap 1.
Give me a second. Somebody's knocking on my door. I don't know.
Yeah, do what you gotta do.
Give me one.
I don't think I can pause a recording, so I was like, oh. Hey guys, Chaps here solo. Still trying to get signed in to the books. So us actually placing these bets right now, we're going to have to figure out how to do it. Don't worry, we'll cut this all out in post. No big deal. And then we just go 100 on this. And these all win. That and that wins together. Oh, you got me something.
What's that?
You got me something. Is it my birthday? Is it for Fernando?
It's a gift, yeah. It's a gift for Fernando.
Don't worry, I held down the fort.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
What did you do? Just like
Talk to the people.
Jeopardy timing song?
Talk to the people.
Or you just talk to the people?
By the way, this mic is so sick that I don't have to be right close to it. Like,
No, it's unreal.
here at the F1000, we are a top-notch podcasting facility.
We are. Fuck, imagine we just win some. We're definitely like, here's just going to happen.
Are you going to be upset if we don't
Max
take a Joe retire?
No. The only reason I might just bet on it personally to see if it happens, but
Hey, all the power to you.
yeah. No, I mean, it's not a smart use of the funds, I can guarantee you that.
Because I
Like
think...
what,
like,
we should keep the Alpine in there?
I had it as 5 on Mercedes, 200 on a
Yeah.
Ferrari win, 200 on 3 or more leaders, and 100 on Leclerc to lead after the first lap.
Yeah, you really like that one.
I don't know. Actually, you know what? Okay, now, like I'm ready to place the money. And does George just hold him off?
Well, I mean, it's one lap. Like, it's entirely possible, right? Like, that's
It
the only
is.
reason why I wanted to be like, what's the flyer amount? I think you want to have a respectable win. So if you take a high odds bet, you don't want it to be like a piddly $20 bet that doesn't pay out. Yeah, but fuck, well, I should have bet more. But you also don't want to start wasting money that could be put on intelligent bets that are probably,
Right.
not going to guarantee a return, obviously, but are much more likely to give you a return. I don't know if we dismiss, like, we both like Alpine, right? We both like Alpine. We both don't think that really it looks like we think Ocon might be the weak link because we both had him dropping. I had him 5. I mean, I think he likes the track and I think he's confident on it, and that's half the battle is just being confident out there. I think Alonso's confident out there too, based on, and I kind of read through how he had been performing there recently. I think they have the pace on the McLarens. I don't think they're worried about them. I think that they've got a gap between.
I think the McLarens have the pace on the Alpines this weekend.
Yeah.
Lando, at least. Just Daniel can't drive anymore.
Well, I don't know, man. Like what? Because he out-qualified them? He barely out-qualified them, and he out-qualifies them.
Dude, Lando was... I know he went wide, but he was P2 in FP2.
Yeah, I know. He's
Lando's
had good
been
pace.
fast all week. But
But he said himself actually, like he said himself after FP2 that, like, what did he say? Hold on. I wrote, because not to say that I was planning on fading them to any degree, but he had said we always look a bit quicker in P2 than we end up normally being. Like, he himself admitted that in an article that I was reading, and they do, right? They always look a little bit quicker than they are with their race pace. So this is one of those circumstances, chaps, where I'm like, prove it to me. Prove to me that you can beat the Alpine. I don't know if they, you know what I mean? Like, if we make the bet and he beats the Alpines. Now, if he beats the Alpines, they could still finish top 10. Obviously, he's taking a spot from them higher up.
They've had a good. I was just looking at their points. They've had a good run of points.
They're in
Like,
form. Right?
since
Like, they're in form.
yeah, since
like
round
maybe
5.
I can see maybe the narrative is like they come back after the break and some of the other upgrades they end up catching up, right? But like, I don't know if is there going to be that many changes? They qualified really well. They've had great race pace. I like both drivers. They're just they're good.
Half
drivers.
of the races they were double points.
Half of the races they were double points.
The past 2 they were double points.
Yeah. I don't know, man. What do you think? Like, I would rather. I'll kill the Joe bet. Like, obviously, like, there's no point in wasting $50 on that.
I think the Joe.
It is. It's
like,
kind of a waste of money.
I love it.
Yeah.
If there's a week where we're not seeing stuff, then we just throw a flyer down.
No. I want to win, so I'm down to keep. But I don't know if I'm comfortable putting $100 on Leclerc and cutting what I think is probably,
But then 50 is not enough for
no.
an Alpine.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, what do
120.
we want to do? We want to finesse here at all? Do we not finesse and we just leave it off the board, or
No, let's finesse. Like,
What do we
so
get for
a
this?
Leclerc, what's a 50 to 550? 50 times 5.5, 275. I mean, is that decent?
That's a good payout, man. That covers
Like if we go 50 there,
like that
and
could
then maybe
cover the Alpine bet, like, or cover the 3 or more bet. You know what I mean?
or we take 50 off, so we've got 150 for Ferrari, 150 for 3
Yeah.
or more,
Yeah.
150 for Alpine.
Sure. Well, do you think is it
500
is it
for
an even bet?
Mercedes.
Is it well? It's minus 120. It's not technically by an odds perspective an even bet. It might not need to be. Maybe it's just 100. Maybe we leave a 50 somewhere out there, or it's 175 that we
Do you want to put
down.
50 on Joe just because you came in with it?
No. We can't do that. No.
Why?
We could.
If it hits.
Okay. I'm
What?
down with
How
that.
how crazy
Buddy,
would that be if he's just out in lap 1?
It's 500
And
bucks.
That's $500 right there.
So I don't know. It's up to you. I don't want to waste the money. You have logic. Well, I guess I have supporting logic for it. Really, like I do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I got a feeling. You've got a feeling for Leclerc. Like you know what? Fuck it.
My only hesitation is I just see one of the AlphaTauris being.
Yeah. We
being
should
the
at
guy
least.
that-
I get it, but we should at least put one flyer bet each down if we've got logic that either one of us agrees with, right? If we
Yours
both
is
can.
much more of a flyer.
Oh my god, it is. But sometimes it's
Actually, I don't know. Maybe
it's half the
the
fun,
Great Wall of
Chaps.
George.
It's half the fun.
The Great Wall of George could just defend for one lap. That's all. That's all he needs to do to lose for us to lose this bet.
I agree,
Just
and
defend
that's
for
where
one lap.
that's why I think it needs to be only $50, right? So if it's $50,
I'm with you there.
Joe's
Yeah.
$50. So then how are we squeezing in the Alpine?
I think we take 50 off both the Ferrari and
Yeah. Okay.
then Alpine's 100.
I think that makes sense. It's paying somewhat close to even.
It'll make just
Paying-
under 100.
Paying under 100, right? So
Now here's a quick question for you: can all of our
Yeah.
bets win, or have we hedged ourselves out of a total weekend sweep?
no, they can all-
Ferraris can win. There can be 3 or more leaders. The Mercedes and the Alpines in the points. Leclerc did it really quick, and Joe was the first one out.
probably going to win
There's
them all.
your, there's your
Probably?
weekend. There's your
Probably
weekend
gonna-
rack up.
Yeah, definitely going to lose them all. Guaranteed.
Weekend
Guaranteed
wrap
going to
up.
lose them all.
Wait, can we lose them all?
Yeah, for sure. What do you mean? Can we lose them all? Of
Should
course
we
you
have-
can. There isn't a way. There isn't a
Yeah.
way. There is no
Yeah.
way. You can't.
Yeah.
I was looking at it before. There is no like strategy
like-
that you can't just like triple hedge. There's no way to do it.
You can't get like Ferrari's win
No, because
or
the problem-
George wins.
No, the
Like
problem
who else is going to win this race?
The problem with any bet in F1 is that you might not finish the race. It's like
Right.
that's the risk that exists out there, which is not, by the way, not embedded into the odds at all. Like just horrendous odds for a sport in which a guy could just die at any time.
For there to be
Horrendous
minus,
odds.
for there to be
Yeah.
minus money odds in a sport where like his car just might not start even.
Yeah. It might not start. We've seen it happen. Literally,
Yeah.
guys, like they get like Alonso, he gets on the grid, his car doesn't start. Like
Yeah.
should be like it's insane.
Or how about this? I watched Rush. I'm late to the party. I know it's a great movie. It's really old now.
sick movie.
Yeah. What's his face? Oh my God, who's the guy? The
Niki
guy with
Lauda?
the burned face. Nicky Lauda just decides I'm not going to finish this race. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with the car. It's raining. He's new. He goes Newman on them. I don't work in the rain.
Yeah.
Like he just
pulls in.
yeah, just like
Are
I'm
you
done.
kidding? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, okay.
So like
Awesome.
that risk exists.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're.
What do we got? We've got some bets that we're ready to put down.
So I guess that's gonna wrap up F1000 for the Hungarian Grand Prix 2022.
I'm sweating already. Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We're gonna try to take some clips of us watching the race, sweating it out.
Jeez.
Feel free to bet along. I think we've got some justification for our bets here. If you think we're off our rocker, fade us. I mean, let us know how you're doing. Leave a comment in the comment section and tune in next week. Actually, no. You know what, Mike? There is no next week. We're going on
There's no
summer
next week.
vacation.
Yeah, we're gonna take the vacation. We're taking a break.
We got 3 weeks off. We're back at Spa in late August. F1000. See you then.
See ya.